Good evening, and welcome to tonight's council meeting for the election of the mayor and deputy mayor. My name is Eric Braslis, CEO of Golden Plains Shire Council. In accordance with the governance rules, I will be the temporary chairperson for the beginning of tonight's meeting. Tonight, this council meeting is taking place within the council chambers at the Golden Plains Civic Centre in Bannockburn. And although closed to the public, we are live streaming the meeting to our community tonight. As the chairperson of the meeting, I give my consent for this council meeting to be live streamed to the public in accordance with Section 14 of Council's governance rules. I have the discretion and authority to at any time direct the termination or interruption of the live stream. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed relevant. Thank you. I'd like to begin tonight's council meeting with our acknowledgement of country. Golden Plains Shire spans the traditional lands of the Wadawurrung and Eastern Mar people. We acknowledge them as the traditional owners and custodians. Council pays its respects to the Wadawurrung and Eastern Mar elders, past, present, and emerging. Council extends that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Golden Plains Shire Council. There are no apologies for the meeting tonight. In relation to conflict of interest, councillors, Section 7 of the Local Government Act, Regulations 2020, provide for a number of exemptions in relation to declarations of conflict of interest. One of these relates to the election of the mayor and deputy mayor. Because tonight's council meeting is held for the purpose of electing a mayor and a deputy mayor in accordance with that section of the regulations, there is no need for any declarations of conflict of interest to be made tonight. We will now move on to the formal part of the agenda. The purposes of the first report, it's to resolve the term of the mayor and the deputy mayor for 2020-2021. Under the Local Government Act 2020, council may elect a mayor and deputy mayor for a term of either 1 or 2 years. Councillors, there is a recommendation before you that council resolve that the mayor and the deputy mayor for 2021-22 be elected for a term of 1 year. Do I have a mover? Councillor Rowe, and a seconder, Councillor Kirby. Do the mover wish to speak?
No, thanks, Mr. CEO.
And the seconder?
Yes, I think a one term for the mayor is sufficient in this day and age. There's a lot on the mayor's plate, and I think that if they would like to continue, I think they should also have the option of standing the following year. So I think it's preferable to have 1 year and then make it 2 if they desire to. Thank you.
Are there any other councillors that wish to speak to the motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. We'll now move on to item 4.2, election of the mayor. We now move to the election of the mayor in accordance with council's governance rules. All nominations for the position of mayor were required to be submitted in writing, addressed to the CEO prior to tonight's council meeting. I will now read out the names of those councillors who have nominated for the position of mayor. Councillor Getzem. This nomination is moved by Councillor Getzem as the nominee. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kirby. The second nominee, Councillor Gamble. This nomination is moved by Councillor Gamble as the nominee. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cunningham. The third nominee, Councillor Sharkey. This nomination is moved by Councillor Sharkey as the nominee. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Rowe. Councillors, I would like to ask each of the nominees to speak for 5 minutes about why they would like to be mayor. Councillor Getzem, would you like to speak?
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm nominating myself for the position of Mayor of the Golden Plains Shire. I've spent my whole life living and working in and around the Golden Plain Shire and have been a very active member of my local community, serving on many committees and service groups. These associations, along with my work as a bus driver, I believe, allows me to gain a great understanding of the needs and concerns of ratepayers and residents of our Shire. As a councillor of 12 months, I and all councillors should do a bullying, respect and workplace behaviour course. I am a careful decision maker. I can hear all sides of a discussion and make informed decisions. If I am afforded the privilege to be elected the next Mayor of our great Shire, I will continue to be committed to working with and serving the ratepayers and residents and be a very active advocate for the Golden Plain Shire. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gitsum. Councillor Gamble, would you like to speak?
Thank you. I believe I can be an excellent mayor for Golden Plain Shire. I remind fellow councillors I have always been respectful, open to communication, a positive, diligent and hard-working councillor. I have genuine passion for this Shire, its environment, its people, its diversity and its potential. As Mayor, I would dedicate myself full-time to the role, responsibility and privilege. As you know, fellow councillors, I'm not image-driven and I take responsibility. I will be consultative and a team player, and I respect the will of the majority or decisions that go against me without recriminations or bitterness. As Mayor, I will seek to strengthen the unity of the councillor group and act to enhance connection and ownership of all councillors with positive things happening in the community. I'll expect councillors to set a high standard of conduct and respect and behaviour amongst themselves and towards all staff and residents. And as Mayor, I will work hard to be consultative, positive, encouraging, engaged. And I'd work hard to provide stability and a responsive, responsible, caring community focus. Fellow councillors, you can be confident I will be a great advocate for Golden Plains. At board levels, G21, the peri-urban group and in meetings with state and federal politicians representing our Shire at the higher levels of government. Advocacy will be particularly important this mayoral year, which will include elections of both federal and state governments. I have good people skills and work well with politicians and people representing organisations. In the last week, I've met and had one-on-one chats with Catherine King, Libby Coker and Michaela Settle. Additionally, I have respect and good relationships with council officers and the executive, as well as many groups and people across the Shire. You have my word, my track record, and know me as a person. To be confident, I will honour these commitments to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gamble. Councillor Sharkey, would you like to speak?
Thank you very much, Mr CEO. Firstly, thank you very much to Councillor Kirby for a past year. The main reason that I've nominated for the role of Mayor is because I feel very strongly that experience is important. Given Councillor Kirby had not nominated for this, brought forward my nomination. Councillors, this is arguably our most important year with two upcoming elections. Both elections give us the unique opportunity to attract more funding into our Shire. We need to actively seek bipartisan commitments for all of our local projects. Strong relationships need to be formed with existing politicians very quickly. We are also faced with a boundary alignment which puts us fighting against our neighbouring councils. I have a great relationship already installed with most sitting and challenging politicians, along with most neighbouring councillors. We now have new dynamics with our new boundary alignments with the seat of Ripon, Eureka and Geelong. At the federal level, we sit in both Ballarat and the marginal seat of Corangamite. The marginal seat of Corangamite gives us a very unique opportunity that will no doubt result in a significant amount of funding, and I know after meeting with current member that both Bannockburn and Inverleigh have been highlighted. I have also sat on the board of G21 and I have a relationship with Mayor Asher, who will also be contending the seat and also have a great understanding of our region. I've worked with and advocated to many of these politicians, and I have a proven record as a previous mayor, resulting in some of the largest funding announcements in our region. I have proven to be strategic on many issues and will always to do what is in the best interest of our whole shire. In 2019, I travelled to Canberra as part of a delegation which secured the first city deal in Australia worth over $380 million. Many of these projects will benefit many of our residents. Councillors' personalities must be put aside and best decisions need to be made for our whole shire rather than our own personal position. The election of the Mayor sends a message to our whole shire and the staff that work here. I can publicly state that I have never received a code of conduct and fully appreciate our code of conduct that underpin our roles, many of which we have put zero tolerance on. It is my firm belief that councillors need to be fully up to speed on issues and not turn up to meetings having not read the prescribed information. Leadership is about being proactive and foreseeing possible outcomes that could put us at harm. And this year I have displayed several examples that have helped us avoid negative outcomes. I think we can all agree that the first year of council is a whirlwind ride, and it is about learning. Year 2 and 3 is about finishing your apprenticeship. We are essentially a board that oversees a CEO and over 200 staff members, along with a budget of around $50 million. All of our neighbouring councils and all of the ones that I've seen in the state of Victoria are re-electing their current mayors or placing their most experienced councillors in the role ahead of the upcoming elections. Councillors, given Councillor Kirby has not elected not to nominate, I again firmly believe that I offer that experience. Councillors, I'm happy to sit in the chair and remain impartial as I have in the past. You, the councillors, will guide the organisation over the past 12 months. Over the past 12 months, I've proven to you all my complete understanding of governance. Governance needs to be strong, and a chair needs to fully understand our local laws on governance, and the ramifications of learning on the job poses us with a significant risk. Over the past year, we as councillors have collectively forged a strong alliance with regards to community engagement, and something that we need to continue, and I feel that having myself and Councillor Kirby as Deputy working together will offer nearly 20 years' experience to our council leadership and collectively 5 years as mayors. Making the right decision isn't always easy, and the Local Government Act states that we must consider the diversity and interests and the needs of the municipal community. And under Section 28, Section 1B, to represent the interests of the whole municipality community in that decision making. There is no mention in the Act of representing singular groups. The main reason I've nominated is I feel I offer experience, leadership and forged relationships with the community, staff and local politicians. Our best decision, councillors, are made with the whole community in mind and what gets them the best outcomes and results. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sharkey. Councillors, we will now move to the voting. Noting that under the Local Government Act 2020, a candidate must receive an absolute majority of votes to be elected. In our case, that number is 4 votes. So I will now go by way of showing of hands for the 3 candidates. I will now call for the show of hands for votes for Councillor Getsom. 2. I will now call for a show of hands for votes for Councillor Gamble. 3. I will now call for show of hands for votes for Councillor Sharkey. 2. Councillors, as we have not made the necessary 4 absolute majority votes of 4, and having 2 candidates with 2, we will now proceed to the voting for those 2 candidates. I will begin with a call for the show of hands for Councillor Getsom. 1, 2, 3, 3. I will now...
Sorry. So, can I just have a point of clarification? So, who are the 2 candidates here?
The 2 candidates are Councillor Getsom and Councillor Sharkey.
Thank you. I just want to vote. Councillor
So, I will now call for a show of hands for votes for Councillor Getsom. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will now show for a call of hands for Councillor Sharkey. 1, 2, 3. Based on the votes for 3, the lowest votes going to Councillor Sharkey, he will now be eliminated. We will now proceed with the final votes for Councillor Getsom and Councillor Gamble. 1 second. I will now call for the show of hands for votes for Councillor Gamble. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will now call for a show of hands for Councillor Getsom. 1, 2, 3. Having put the matter to vote, I now declare Councillor Gamble has received the absolute majority of votes and is duly elected as Mayor of Golden Plain Shire Council for 2021-22. Thank you. I will now call our Mayor Gamble up to take over as chair.
Thank you sincerely, fellow councillors, for endorsing me as the Golden Plains Mayor of 2021-22. This is an honour and a privilege for me. I have a genuine passion for the Shire, its environment, its people, its diversity and its potential. I feel excited about the possibilities to achieve great things for our community. As well as thanking my fellow councillors, I'd like to give special mention to Mayor Kirby for her commitment, work ethic and dedication over the past year, which has often been in very difficult circumstances because of COVID restrictions and the new world of virtual meetings and unreliable internet connections. Her guidance, kind words and encouragement have been appreciated by all of us, the newer councillors in particular. Also, I'd like to thank the many good people in our Golden Plain Shire communities who I've come to know in the last year. I look forward with excitement to meet more of the many outstanding people who live in the Golden Plain Shire. Additionally, I'd like to acknowledge the support of my family, the CEO, directors and the management team over the past year. I appreciate the contribution of all employees of the Shire make to our local government area, Golden Plain Shire, a great place to live. I look forward to working with this dedicated and highly professional management team in more depth as Mayor over the next year. As Mayor, I will work hard to be consultative with all councillors and endeavour to represent all residents. I will seek to speak and act responsibly, professionally and with consideration, and to make myself available as much as possible to travel, engage and represent all parts of our Shire as equally and as fairly as possible, COVID and time willing. In the Council's excellent mission statement, the fifth mission statement seems particularly relevant to the Mayor's role for the next year, which will include elections of both federal and state governments. Quote, building awareness and strategic alliances with government, regional groups and the community. Also, number 2, working and advocating in partnership with our community to address social, economic and environmental challenges. Regarding the environmental challenges, as you know, along with millions of others, I see climate adaptation and mitigation as very important work for local governments to engage in. As highlighted at the COP26 climate emergency talks, I think it is more beholden than ever for any people in leadership positions especially to listen, act and respond in accordance with mainstream scientific predictions to give future generations and ecosystems the best chance of survival into the future. We're a great shire that offers a great quality of life and environment, and we need to safeguard this for the future with quality developments, planning and infrastructure. Thank you. Councillors, there is a recommendation before you. Recommendation being the council note my incoming mayor speech from the 2021-2022 mayor. Do I have a mover? Brett Cunningham, Councillor Cunningham, thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Kirby. Are there, so who, all those in favour, please? You wish to speak to the motion?
All right.
Councillor
All good.
Cunningham?
You just moved it and carried it, so that's
Okay,
good, so it's
yeah.
all carried.
Nothing. I wasn't going to say anything anyway.
The motion is carried.
Thank you.
Now we have a recommendation. Item 4.6. Oh, it's over the page. Okay. With the 4.4, election of deputy mayor. We now move to the election of the deputy mayor. Councillors, we have one nomination before us for deputy mayor. In accordance with 8.12 of Council's governance rules, if only one councillor is a candidate for the deputy mayor, the meeting must declare that councillor to be duly elected as deputy mayor. This nomination is moved by Councillor Kirby as the nominatee. Do I have a seconder, councillors? Councillor Whitfield. I'll invite the deputy mayor to now address the meeting to provide an overview of the year ahead as deputy mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Gamble. As I was the only nomination for the position of Deputy Mayor, I'd like to thank the councillors for their support. With 56 communities in the Shire and the work that has been previously done to support them, I will ensure that all our towns, large or small, have the backing of me as a councillor, and I'm a voice for you to be heard. As COVID has been an issue for the past 21 months, the council has been very proactive in supporting the residents and businesses, and I personally would like to thank everyone from the community for keeping our Shire safe. A lot of issues and new policies have been put in place, such as climate change, but our overall policies are ensuring that our rural Shire keeps and maintains its rural aspect, while working hard to minimise rates. As a team player, I look forward to the next 12 months by working hard for the team and the staff, the CEO and the residents of the Shire. And I'd also like to thank Mayor Gamble for taking me on as your Deputy Mayor. Thank you very much.
And just procedurally, councillors, we have a mover of Councillor Kirby, a seconder of Councillor Whitfield. We will have to put that motion.
Can we vote on that motion, please?
All in favour.
Carried. Thank you for your speech, Councillor Kirby. I will invite the Deputy Mayor to now address the meeting to provide an overview. Sorry, councillors, we've done this. Okay, so we're now on to 4.6. Oh, okay. So we have a recommendation to accept the speech, please. Do we have a mover? Councillor Cunningham, and a seconder, please. Councillor Whitfield. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, there is a recommendation before you. That recommendation is the Council adopt the following meeting schedule for the 2022 Council meetings and Audit and Risk Committee meetings as attached. Do I have a mover? That would be an alternate recommendation. Councillor Kirby.
I'd like to move that that we have 3 meetings to be held in the Linton Shire office, 2 at the Well and 6 at the Bannockburn Civic Centre. Thank you.
Is there a seconder?
And is there any clarification on the dates and locations?
Yes, an alternative to each month at the Golden Plains Civic Centre. So the first one being Tuesday the 22nd of February at the Golden Plains Civic Centre, the 22nd of March at Linton, the 26th of April at the Bannockburn, the 26th of May at the Well, Tuesday the 7th of June at Bannockburn, Tuesday the 21st of June at Linton, Tuesday the 26th at Bannockburn, Tuesday the 23rd of August at the Well, Tuesday the 27th of September at Bannockburn, Tuesday the 25th of October at Linton, Tuesday the 17th of November at Bannockburn, Tuesday the 22nd of November at Bannockburn, and I've just got to count how many, sorry, 1, 2, 3. And the last one, Tuesday the 20th of December in Bannockburn. I think that's correct. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cunningham. Yeah. Do you wish to speak to the motion, Councillor Kirby?
During our time of the Golden Plains Shire, I've always been a very supportive person of the Linton Shire offices because of the historical significance that it represents. I know that we had 2 new buildings in the Shire, one being at the Well and the other one being at Bannockburn. But I overall think that in support of the residents of Linton, I still think that we as a council should be supporting that community. That chamber has been there well over 100 years plus, and I think it is fit for purpose. I think it just needs a few minor adjustments regarding the internet service and some of those sort of issues. But overall, I think I would hate to see us not have any meetings in Linton, and I know that township would go backwards. I think we need to still have a presence in Linton. Smythesdale can carry itself with the residents and the amount of population that are moving to Smythesdale, so I'm very supportive of Linton and the residents there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cunningham, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor Gamble. I would. I fully support Councillor Kirby's words. I know during the election campaign, when I was campaigning up north with Councillor Jepson, a lot of feedback from a lot of the townspeople I spoke to were that they felt forgotten and disconnected from the Golden Plains Shire, which is very sad. Even though I've been a resident of Teesdale and Bannockburn for the past 40 years, we actually live down the south of the Shire. There is more to the Shire than just Bannockburn, Teesdale and the surrounding suburbs that we live in. We have the centre and we have the north. And I appreciate Councillor Kirby's words. We were voted in to represent the whole Shire. And we need to be visible and seen. We might not have great numbers come to those meetings, but at least it sends a message that yes, you elected us in to represent you, to listen to you, And we will go to all the different parts of the Shire when we can to meet people and show them that, yes, we have listened and we want to support you. And, you know, some of these towns that we go to, such as Linton, Smythesdale, it might create some business, extra business and that, but what it will do is it will create good conversations amongst the people in the towns. I know when we went up to Smythesdale, the well, you know, the feedback up there from a lot of people that I only met once, they all knew Mr. Councillor Jepson, but because I was here filming the day, they all came up and said it was so good to see councillors up here again. So I fully endorse Councillor Kirby's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any councillors who'd like to speak against the motion?
Point of clarification, I am lost with regards to the numbers again. Could I get the numbers of that breakup? I didn't get that the first time. Just a point of clarification.
Numbers of the
meeting. I didn't catch how many meetings in the Wells, Smythesdale, Linton, and
3 at Linton, 2 at Smythesdale.
you able to confirm that, CEO?
Yep. Refer to Councillor Kirby. Because it's 11 meetings, and just confirm that it is 3 at Linton and 2 at the Well.
Thank you.
Right. Yes. Sorry.
That's clarified. Councillor Sharkey? Are there any any councillors who would wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Sharkey?
Very much, Mr. Mayor. I just with regards to the recommendation that we have here isn't just made up. It comes with good reason, and although I'd be happy to consider something in the middle of where the motion is and where the recommendation is. 5 meetings in the north, councillors, and particularly the new councillors, we haven't travelled to the north yet. We haven't been up there, but as a councillor of 5 years, the numbers that we get at Linton are single numbers, 1 and 2 people if we're lucky to turn up to meetings. Those people that I can remember that used to travel up to that meeting actually travelled from the south. I've spoken to residents, particularly those that used to turn up to meetings pre-COVID. They are tending to sit at home now and watch these meetings at 1.5, 1.75 and 2 times the speed, so they don't have to listen to most of the dribble that goes on between bits and pieces. They are able to watch it faster. We as a Shire have put in $150,000 of technology into this building during COVID to have the best IT equipment in Victoria. I've just sat in a conference this afternoon with Geelong Libraries, and we leave them for dead for the IT equipment that we've got here. Linton is well behind the times. It is an old building, and I understand and I appreciate the history, but times change and we need to move on. The Well is an exceptionally good facility, and I fully appreciate Councillor Cunningham's comments that we need to travel round to the Shire and get to places. The Well is an area I think we need to put some investment in and some time up there. It is a warm building, it is nice, it's got state-of-the-art IT stuff there with the technology hub. The other thing that we do need to appreciate, councillors, is, as I said, we are the only ones that travel there. Most of our staff will travel from here up to Linton. We have said that we are going to try and reduce our carbon input. We've declared a climate emergency. This IT solves all those problems. We need to start thinking about the future and not the past. Things change. I love the Linton building, and I love all the pale mail, stale mails that are posted all over that room, and it's fantastic history up there, but times change and we need to move on. I'd like to work towards something in the middle. I think we do need to appreciate the Well. There is the issue of occupational health and safety for our staff and us as councillors to move all those resources up to Linton each and every meeting. Councillors, we have the opportunity to change these through the year. I'd like to put forward a an alternative to the motion that we look at three meetings to the north and 8 to the south.
Councillor Sharkey, are you foreshadowing a motion?
I'll put it forward as an alternative motion.
An amendment?
Foreshadow an alternative motion that we put 3 meetings to the north, 2 in the Well, 1 at Linton, and the remaining in Bannockburn.
Clarity, Mr. Mayor, if Councillor Sharkey could just elaborate, of the 3 he's recommending to the north, how many between Linton and Smilesdale? I didn't hear him.
Sorry, 2 at the Well and two at Linton and one. Sorry, my apologies. 2 at the Well and 1 at Linton.
Are there any other speakers for or against, please? Councillor Getson?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think that I go along with Councillor Kirby. It is a very significant building. Who can guarantee we won't get anybody at Linton? We get nobody at Bannockburn. I'll guarantee we will get people at Linton because they've already asked when are we having meetings at Linton. As far as the OH&S goes about the staff travelling, they travel from here to Melbourne, Geelong, wherever. Does 2 councillors travel from the north? What about us? Don't we care? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Getson. Are there any other councillors who'd like to speak? Councillor Whitfield?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I do question how much locals in the north coming to Linton would get out of attending the meetings. If they have an item on the agenda, a planning item or something like that, totally understandable. But I think that they might get more if we had more designated conversation posts up there, more occasions to meet with them about their issues, not just them watching what we do. I'm also have concerns that Linton itself, it doesn't have broadband available. I don't think the Linton office can be improved with its technology because it's not in the town yet. It's still being worked on by the providers. Yeah, that's all I've got on that. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Are there any other speakers, are there any other councillors who'd like to speak on it that haven't spoken before on this issue? Okay. Yeah. So, Councillor Kirby, would you like to make a closing statement, please?
We as council have not moved a resolution at all in the past of closing the Linton Shire office. So I think tonight is a perfect example where we need to get behind each other, and I'm hoping that all the councillors here tonight will vote to keep it open. We, as a council group, as we need to go be seen, be heard around the whole Shire, not just certain parts of the Shire. I do hope that I know that the residents will support us in us for us to keep going back to Linton, and at the end of the day, the support up there, we've always shown them by going to their AGMs and and different, their Lola events and things like that. So we've always supported them in that area, and I'd really like to keep supporting them in keeping the Shire office available to our council meetings. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
I'll now put the motion for all those in favour, raise your hand, please. And all those against?
A clarification, thank you, Mr. CEO.
All those in favour, please.
All those.
The motion is to... Okay. All those in favour of Helena's motion, please. Councillor Kirby's motion. And all those against. So motion's carried.
For division, please. Mayor Gamble.
All those in favour, raise your hands. Keep them. Councillor Kirby, Councillor Getson, Councillor Rowe, and Councillor Cunningham. I'll vote with carrying that motion. Councillor Gamble. Mayor Gamble. All those against? Councillor Sharkey, Councillor Whitfield. Item 4.7. Councillors, there is a recommendation before you. The Council appoints councillor delegates to the various internal and external organisations and committees for the 2021-2022 as shown in attachment 1. Do I have a mover?
Point of clarification, Mr. CEO, and sorry, Mr. Mayor. Does this have to be voted on tonight, seeing we've just elected a new mayor and deputy mayor? So does this recommendation have to be voted on tonight, or can it be discussed amongst councillors now we've got a better understanding who's in the chair, and make any applicable changes that councillors might feel deemed necessary or not?
For you, Mr. Mayor, it's not absolutely critical that it be determined now. Also, it could be determined now and amended later. We do have an upcoming, for instance, G21 meeting where it's an ASIC board, so the registration of the individual representing the council needs to be determined. So you may choose to either defer this, and therefore we wouldn't have Councillor Kirby would probably continue her representation on G21 until such time a new member is appointed. Or alternatively, you could endorse what's there and amend down the track.
Do that.
Do I have a mover? Councillor Kirby. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Getson. Thank you. Councillor Kirby, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I think at this stage, I think everything's pretty well in place for all the committees to continue on in this new role that we have in front of us, especially because the Mayor will take on different committees. I'll step down, but I'm happy to be the deputy in your place at any time. You can't make a meeting, so I'll move it. Thank you.
Councillor Getson?
Nothing further to add, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any other councillors who wish to speak for or against the motion, please? Councillor Whitfield?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just briefly, I think as the attachment shows, several of the councillors have shuffled around in their roles this year, particularly in the portfolio, and that will certainly broaden our knowledge of the organisation and what goes on inside that, and being able to also shuffle some of those membership-based or G21 pillars is a good thing, and yeah, expands a councillor's ability. So yeah, I'm all for it. Thank you.
Councillor Sharkey?
Very much, Mr. Mayor. Happy to support the motion, but I would like to note, and I do appreciate that it's probably not it's something we can look at and change, but I do note that that we've got now 4 councillors on one portfolio and only 2 councillors on infrastructure, which if 4 councillors are going to get together for a portfolio meeting, well, essentially that's, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there is 4 councillors and a director, that's almost a meeting of council. So I'm not too sure if we could actually do that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll come back with, at next week's council meeting, we'll come back with amendments to those delegations, but all the remainder will stay the same. So we'll bring a report back next week.
Are there any other councillors who'd like to speak on the motion? Councillor Kirby, would you like to close?
Yes, I think what we'll do is we'll come back, we'll decide this at our next committee meeting just regarding the portfolios. I'm happy to, after being the mayor and not being on one individually, I'm happy to go on any of them. So they're all part of the Shire, so I'm happy to go on any of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that in mind, if Councillor Kirby was to move to infrastructure tonight, then that clears it up, and we don't have to bring it back further.
Yep, I'm fine.
With the following amendment.
Are there any further implications, Mr. Brazos?
I think that's fine. If that's the only committee that there was duplication, it will make that change if Councillor Kirby is happy to include that change as part of her. Sorry, if Councillor Rowe is happy to include that as the mover.
Well, might be enough.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll now put the motion. For all those in favour, please raise your hand. Carried. The motion is carried. So now I'd like to close the meeting. There being no further items of business, I declare the meeting closed at 6:51 p.m.